Hey, welcome back to the show. I thought today we'll try and replicate that killer guitar tone from Lamb of God's Sacrament back in 2006 using the Mesa Mark V and a few different pedals, but stick around, we'll check it out. This has to be my absolute favourite Lamb of God album, hands down. I know other albums and Ashes of the Wake and things, they just had these epic arrangements and riffs and they were just so cool, but for some reason I just found Sacrament to be really polished. All the songs were fantastic, they were structured really well. It almost had this concept style feel with the whole Jim Jones, Jonestown Massacre thing. It's really eerie. The guitar parts are all sort of chaotic with this digital sort of feel about them and the riff farming going on. It was just a fantastic album. Mark came out with some fantastic solos and I just really identified with the structure in which he did those solos, and I don't know, it just really spoke to me. I just thought it's an absolute killer album and can't believe I haven't tried to replicate it until now, but all the riffs are just so fun to play. And all the riffs just have that same sort of compressed dynamic. It's a real digital sounding almost. It's heavy and distorted, but everything's just really clear and crunchy. It's got a real mid-focus bark to it. We're in the Mark IV setting with the Mark V 25. You can see all the settings there across this lower bank here. And then when we get to the slider EQs, you can just see how it's set there. It's really pushing those mids a lot more than I usually do. And it's almost just cascading down from the low mids all the way down to the treble. And then going down to the pedals, it starts with the Fort and Zool plus noise gate, where I'm quietening the effects loop, but I'm also using the key and key through feature to start the chain. It's then going on to the Ibanez Tube Screamer, which is in the front of the amp. We're just going to be using this for solos. And then on to the Cali 76 by Origin Effects, and this is a compressor pedal. This is going through the effects loop and I'm running it through 18 volt supply. And this is really the backbone of the sound, along with the boogie, just to give you that really compressed sort of flattened tone that almost sounds like it's a digital input somehow. And then on to the MXR carbon copy, which is also in the effects loop, and again that's just there for the guitar solos. And then for the guitar that I'm using today, it's my Jackson Dominion Mark Morton Signature. And this really is the signature guitar that Mark came out with that debuted on the album. And I just really love it. I bought it back in about 2009, 2010. This is the second gen Dominion Pro model that he came out with. The first one had the painted back on the neck and everything, but this has the chambers. It's Japanese made. It's a beautiful guitar. And as for the pickups, they're the Mojo Tone Bill Kellier signatures. They're absolutely amazing pickups. They're a combination of an Alnico and a ceramic magnet. They're super high output, but they're just super clear and really pushy and punchy in those mids. They're just really good and a great match for this guitar. They coil tap really well. And then for strings, I'm using Stringjoy Strings from Nashville, Tennessee. And I got sent a few sets a few weeks back and I put them straight into this guitar, and I've been heavy-handed with it ever since, just trying to see how well they stay in tune and really put them through the paces to give some honest feedback. But to be totally honest with you guys, the strings have just been absolutely flawless. They've stayed in tune the best out of any strings I've ever had on this guitar. They still feel new. It's been 2 weeks. I've been pummeling the absolute crap out of this guitar. I take it to work every day and practice in my lunch break. I come home, I've been practicing these Lamb of God riffs. Super heavy on the E string. Usually by now, I usually get probably a week out of an E string and it just snaps, or whatever string I'm just pummeling on with the metal. It's just so repetitive, but these just still sound new and they just feel amazing. I just thought I'd pass that on with you all. And for what's more, I think Stringjoy really care about making the best strings, and they're really listening to customer feedback. And if you go on their website, you can actually order your own custom sets of custom gauges, which I think is just so awesome. And I just think that's really cool. All the strings are individually sealed in their packets, and I'm sure they last a long time just in storage. But just the fact you can get on the website and just order your custom string sets just for you, like your own signature sets, there's no extra cost incurred for that, and they're just fantastic strings. So I 100% stand behind these guys, and I just thought I'd let you all know. And then for the guitar tones making that album, Mark and Willie both used amp sims just recording the album with a similar tone to the Mark IV, where they just had the DI tracks, and later on when they were mixing and mastering it, they went back through, reamped them back through the Mark IVs, going through the Mesa slanted 412 cabs with the V30s. I'm not sure exactly what microphones they used, but I'm outputting the recording today through the 2-notes Torpedo Captor X, where again we're just simulating that Mesa 412, the slanted with the V30s inside. I've got a single SM57 in the software just pushed up to the dust cap, about 40% off the dust cap, and that's all I'm doing. I've got no EQing or any post anything going on. It's just the amp and the pedals in front here that you can just see. That's the entire sound. My guitar's just plugged straight into the Fortin Zool. And I guess I can say with no ego attached, in a fairly humble way, that out of all the tones that I've ever matched across all these different amps, this tone in particular, I think it's the closest I've ever got to the actual recorded sound, and I've probably played along with it just as much as I have Rust in Peace. I've put that many hours into just playing these Lamb of God riffs. It was everything the channel was meant to be at the start. I just couldn't get away from them. I just thought every riff was just like this exercise. It was a whole learning experience. I just love the way Mark constructed his solos, especially on this album. I just found it totally captivating to try and learn and play and just have this ultimate lesson. But all that time I was just striving to try and get this tone. It's a fairly simple tone, but no software could do it right. It's the reason I actually bought the Mesa Mark V to start with. I just really wanted this specific tone, and for some reason by the time I got the Mesa, I couldn't really be bothered trying to dial it in that well, and I'd played the album to death that much that I was sort of done with it. But every now and then I come back to it, and it's just so much fun to play. And it wasn't until this time that I came back to try and work it out that I realized all those isolated guitar tracks are just so heavily compressed. At the time when the album came out, you could buy the producer edition, which came with a DVD audio of just all the isolated different instruments, and I've just used that to practice and to warm up and everything ever since. But they're just so heavily compressed. And then I tried the Cali 76 just through the effects loop, and straight away it was just, this is the exact tone. And what's really cool, when you have it in the effects loop, you just get this finished, polished sort of record style tone that comes through. But as far as the compression goes, as soon as you just come down heavy on that, that's the record right there. It's just got that chunk coming through. I haven't got too much attack straight at the start, so it lets a little bit of that really harsh sort of, like that harsh crunch just come through, and you can finish on that. But the rest of it's fairly squished, and you just get the exact tone coming through that you're really after. And if we slowly just back that dry signal off now, you'll just see that the amp comes alive a little bit more, takes away from actually sounding like a studio. And now the same riff with all the compression applied. And to me that just finishes off the tone really well. It works flawlessly with the Mesa boogie. I just know that the boogies tend to really work well with active pickups that are highly compressed in the front, like the EMG 81, and they just seem to really work with the same sort of distortion circuit and the gain that goes on, and you just get this really nice sound coming out that's really rounded and liquid-like. But then using the passive pickups with a little bit of compression with the boogie, I think it's a fantastic tone. I'll just add a little bit of ambience to that. Such a cool part of the song. And there's just so many epic riffs and moments on this album. I can't play them all, but I'll try. And all the elements to the whole album is just here with these few pedals in front. For the guitar solo, it's just adding the Ibanez tube screamer and the delay, but things like the start of Walk With Me and Hell, where Mark's phrase is that if you just turn on the delay, that's the exact sound that's what's on the record as well. And then for the guitar solo, just turn on the tube screamer. And you get the idea. I think it's just a really fun time jamming out to that album with this setup. It covers all bases, and you can just pretty much replicate all the guitar tones on the album, and it's just awesome. It's just so cool. But all that being said, guys, really hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope it's not too long, but I'll see you all next week, and take care.